Hello, you are listening to Disney Travel Tales, episode number 50. This is a space where you can escape the real world and immerse yourself in someone's recent Disney vacation. I'm Jenny, and I'm here to tell you all about my experience at Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party in Walt Disney World. I'm actually recording this from my room at Wilderness Lodge, so if there is some noise in the background or it sounds different, I apologize. Not only am I a podcaster, but I am also a travel agent. I would love to help you plan a magical vacation, and right now is the perfect time to do it. If you are interested in a Disney vacation in 2023, email me at jenny@trolleylanetravel.com or look in the show notes for my quote form. Okay, so let's get going. Imagine yourself meeting Vampire Mickey at the party, and let's go. Tuesday night, I visited Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party at Walt Disney World. This is the third Halloween party that I visited. The first one was in 2014, and it was the Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party at Disney World. And the second one was in 2016, and it was the Halloween party at Disneyland. I loved both of those parties, so when I found out that I was going to be at Disney and had an opportunity to attend one of these parties, I was so excited. Now, these are a special ticketed event. You have to buy a separate ticket. Now, you don't have to buy a park day ticket for that day, but you do have to have a ticket for the event. And the ticket, it ranges in price. Right now, the event for this year is sold out, but I'm thinking I paid $179 for my ticket back when I bought it. The ticket prices do raise the closer you get to Halloween and on the first night. So just kind of keep that in mind if this is something you think you might be interested in the future. This event starts at 7 p.m. and runs till midnight. Now, the park actually allows guests with a ticket to come in at 4 p.m. So my recommendation is to kind of use this day on your vacation as a rest day. Maybe hang out by the pool, hang out at the resort, just kind of take it easy because once you get to the parks and once the party starts, it's from 7 to midnight, but there is so much to do. You're really going to find yourself running around trying to get everything done because once the party ends, you're not going to have an opportunity to do some of those special party-specific things again. So let's just go over the party-specific things. They have special treats that you can eat that are only sold during the party. Now, Disney World also has Halloween treats that you can buy at any time, but there are party-specific treats. There's also party-specific merchandise that the Emporium puts out after 7 p.m. Now, you might be wondering, okay, so how does someone who's just walking around the park how do they get them out? So when you walk into the party, they give you a special wristband. Once 7 p.m. hits, if you don't have that wristband on, you can't go into the Emporium, you can't get on rides. They really try to get everyone out of the park as soon as they can. There's also a sign in the front of the park that's there all day saying there's a special event and that the park is going to close early that day, so guests kind of have an idea. Okay, so we already talked about the treats and the merchandise. There's also a few ride overlay/changes. Space Mountain, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, and Mad Tea Party, they all do something kind of special, so their ride is a little bit different. Over at Space Mountain, it's completely dark, there's no stars, and the music is a little bit kind of spooky music. Pirates of the Caribbean have actual live pirates. So at the beginning of the ride and then throughout the ride, you will see some live pirates talking to you. The Haunted Mansion has the bellhop, or it's the butler. The butler, he's standing outside, and then there's another character who's standing outside with you in line talking to you and engaging with you while you wait. And then the Mad Tea Party, it has different lights to kind of light it up in a spooky way. A couple of other things specific to the Halloween party is the Hocus Pocus Spectacular, which is a stage show up at the castle that runs at 3 different times. There's the Boo to You parade, which runs at 2 different times. And then the Halloween or the Fireworks Spectacular, which is just at 1 time is shown. The final thing that sets the Halloween party apart is the characters. There are characters that you can only see at the Halloween party, and then some of your favorite characters, like Mickey, are dressed in their Halloween costumes. So my original plan was to get over to the park at 4 p.m. However, I did not do that because sometimes that is harder than it seems. I actually didn't get there till about 5:30. This was nice in a sense because when the party is starting or when the party starts allowing guests to come in, the lines outside the park can be very long. You have to scan your ticket or your magic band, and then you have to get your wristband. So it can kind of take a while. By the time I got there, there was no line. There was no crowd outside at all. So I just walked right up. I scanned my magic band and got my wristband, and off I went. So as I walked into Magic Kingdom, they have big signs everywhere saying that the Halloween party is going to be starting. They also have a big sign, and they have cast members who are directing you to head to your right. So when you walk past Mickey's Theater, they opened up kind of a back alleyway for cast members. They've opened that up to Halloween guests. So we walked over to the right. Once we started walking down there, they have golden statues of the Fab Five in Halloween costumes. These were super cute, and you can go look on my Instagram for pictures of all of them. It was Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald. They were adorable in their Halloween costumes and the little gold statue. They then give you a Halloween candy bag. And again, they're checking your wristbands. There's cast members everywhere checking wristbands all along this way to make sure that only guests to the party are having access to this. So after you walk through and see the statues, you stop and get a candy bag. I forgot to mention there is trick-or-treating, and there's also dance parties for kids. I didn't go see any of the dance parties. They're in different locations, so that's why I forgot about those. But yes, there's trick-or-treating. So they give you this cute little souvenir bag. It says Boo to You or Let's Boo, something like that. And you can use it to stop at the different candy stops. They take you up to, if you're familiar where the dessert parties are in the Tomorrowland Terrace, you get your bag, and then they give you a full-size M&M. That was the only candy I got for the night because I wasn't really there to trick-or-treat. But in the past, when we took our kids, they actually really enjoyed the trick-or-treat part. And it's super easy and pretty quick. You just they have big blow-ups that say where the candy is going to be in different stations at the park, and you just kind of walk through and a cast member will put some candy in your bag. So after I got my bag and my candy, I came out at Tomorrowland, and I noticed that the park was insanely packed. I checked my Disney Experience app, and the wait times were really, really long pretty much everywhere because now you had a mix of park guests and Halloween party guests. So I went over to Cheshire Cat Cafe, and I got the Cold Witch's Brew, something like that. It's a cold brew coffee that's a Halloween treat you can get anytime, not just during the party. I went ahead and got one, and it was really, really good. I drank that. I walked around a little bit, and then I honestly didn't really know what to do. I walked through the Emporium, even though the Halloween merchandise wasn't out yet. I looked at the Halloween flyer. They give you a special map that kind of shows you where some of the hotspots are going to be for the night. And I just decided to go ahead and get in line to see Mickey. I walked to the theater. They had Jack, Skellington, and Sally, and I got in line at 6:15 to see Mickey. I was the 5th in line, and the Jack and Sally line, they were saying, was already 2.5 hours long. I just could not believe that. But these are very popular characters because you can only see them at the Halloween party. So I just stood there and I drank my coffee and I kind of just waited. I went ahead and looked on line of different party stuff and was planning out my evening, but the wait times for the rides were just so ridiculous at that point that I just thought waiting for Mickey would be my best bet. So right at 7 p.m. they opened the doors to go meet Mickey. I waited maybe 15 minutes after they opened the doors because Mickey really interacts with you. And so it's not just like, oh, go take your picture with Mickey. He's, wants to see what if you're dressed up, what you're dressed up as, or he comments on your ears or your headband. Like I had a Halloween headband on. So he really takes the time with guests, which is kind of nice. So I got my picture done with Mickey. He was dressed as a vampire. He was very cute. After that, I went ahead and just walked across the walkway to the Emporium to check out the Halloween merchandise. I have to say, most of the merchandise was already gone, and it looked like it had not been restocked. All the shirts, all they had were smalls. It just wasn't, they didn't have a ton of ears of the special Halloween party ears. There just wasn't a lot of merchandise. I was kind of surprised. One thing I love is collecting pins. I love to collect pins, especially from the parties. So I could not find the pins anywhere. I went and asked a cast member, and she told me that they did not make pins this year for the party, which I was really bummed out about because that was one of the things I was excited about going to the party, is to get another party pin. I'm not sure if it was just a supply and demand issue or what, but that was pretty disappointing.
Hey parents, do your kids listen to podcasts? Do they like solving mysteries and flexing their imaginations? Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is a new children's mystery podcast. Your kid can join Billy Bonanza and Susie Sockington on exciting and wacky adventures as they attempt to solve mysteries around their school. Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is available now on all podcast platforms.
So after the Emporium, I went ahead and checked some wait times. It was still the rides were still kind of having a longer wait time. I'm not really sure what was going on, but I have to say this party felt very, very packed. I was getting hungry, so I decided to go ahead and get some of the Halloween party specific foods. I went over to Frontierland and got at Golden Oaks. I got the spellbinding fried pie. It was like a buffalo chicken fried pie with a candied eyeball on it. And then I went over to Pecos Bills and got the corn cake. So it looks like a corn on the cob, but it's actually a cake with candy corn on it. I got both of these snacks, which the lines were very long for both. And I had heard that these had been selling out, so I wanted to make sure I got them at the beginning of the party. And I took my snacks over to where the Cadaver Dans were about to start singing and found a very lovely trash can table and decided to just eat my snacks and watch the Cadaver Dance. It was getting dark, and they also put this smoky stuff over the water over there. It was really nice. This was kind of one of my favorite parts of the party. The Cadaver Dans were really good. They're funny, doing, dad jokes, but also singing some fun classic Halloween type songs. And I really enjoyed it. As for the food, the spellbinding pie, I actually didn't like. My chicken tasted kind of strange in it, and it had a weird texture. I had heard really good things about this, so I was excited to try it, and I honestly just didn't love it. Now, the corn cake was delicious. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. Mine was really moist, and it's just funny because it looks like corn with candy corn on it, but like a corn on the cob, but obviously doesn't taste like it, and I really, really enjoyed this treat. After I got done eating and the Cadaver Dans were done, I just walked around and took some pictures. It was, just a really nice time of night, and they're kind of playing some Halloween-y music through the park, and it just was really nice. And so I took some pictures and decided I was going to go ahead and get a spot in front of the castle for the Hocus Pocus Spectacular. I walked over to the castle, and there was actually a lot of space available. Now, there are 3 showings of this. I thought this showing would be really crowded, but it didn't seem to be. I did get a spot about 45 minutes before it started, so that might be why there weren't a lot of people at the point, but I was pretty much right up in the front. Now, This show was one of my favorite parts of the party. This show was so good. I like Hocus Pocus. I'm not a huge Hocus Pocus fan, but I definitely wanted to see the show because it's been rained out some nights, so I hadn't heard a ton about it. This show is spectacular. If you have the opportunity to see it, it is so, so good. It's just amazing. And there were some surprise guest appearances that I mean, they were a surprise to me. Other people might know about them, but Oogie Boogie was there, Maleficent, Hades, Jafar, the Evil Queen, Cruella de Vil. It's just tons and tons of villains. Dr. Facilier was there. The singing was so good. The songs were so much fun. It was just such a great show. I just highly enjoyed it. So after the show, I wanted to go ahead and get a spot for the Boo to You parade. This is one of my all-time favorite parades. I was very, very excited to see it, and I wanted to get a good spot. So being by myself was kind of worked to an advantage because it's really easy to just squeeze yourself into spots. So I walked from the front of the castle over to where the bridge is leading into Liberty Square, and I was on the other side of that. The parade comes through Frontierland and it comes across that bridge and then it circles around the hub and then goes straight down Main Street. So I was at a spot over the bridge where I could see them coming straight at me. It was such a great spot. I also had a stroller in front of me with some people sitting in front of it, so that way no one could stand in front of me. That's kind of a little trick of mine. If you don't have a stroller yourself, find a stroller that nobody is standing behind and stand behind it, because that means no one tall is going to stand directly in front of you. So my absolute favorite thing from the Halloween parties is the Headless Horseman riding in. I remember the first time I saw it, I just thought it was the coolest thing. Now, there had been some rain in the forecast and the clouds, it had been a little bit cloudy. And if the ground's wet at all, the Headless Horseman will not ride. So I was just praying that he would be able to ride. And he did. So especially from that point I was standing at, I could see him slowly walking towards us. And it was just so much fun. And he kind of brings in the parade. So after he came through, about 10 minutes later, here came the parade, and the parade was wonderful as always. I'm going to have lots of videos on my Instagram page, so go check it out. The Gravediggers are so fun. All the floats are great. The Villains float, they have a Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope Von Sweet float. The Mickey, Minnie, and Donald and Daisy all dressed up in their Halloween costumes. It is just such a fun parade. The parade is also really long. So by the time the parade was over, there was only about a 20-minute break until the fireworks started. So because of where I was standing, I was actually kind of in a good spot for the fireworks. I decided to back up to where the metal fences kind of around the golden statues in the hub area so I could kind of lean on it. Now, mind you, the parade was extremely packed, but because it wasn't the only parade, it wasn't fully packed. But the fireworks show is the only fireworks show. So the fireworks show was quite insane. There was pretty much everyone wants to come see it because it is if you're coming to the Halloween party, it really is something you have to see. But I did have a great spot. This was also in the past one of my favorite fireworks shows. I knew it was going to be different, but I was super excited to see it. But unfortunately, I was just a little bit underwhelmed by it. I didn't love the show. It was kind of disappointing. The music, in my opinion, wasn't great. It was kind of cheesy almost, not really Halloweenish or spooky. And I know Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween, but in the past they did Grim Grinning Ghost, which is a perfect Disney Halloween song, and this time they did not. They kind of did a story of Mickey and Minnie in a haunted house with Zero, the dog from The Nightmare Before Christmas, leading them. That was all fine. The projections were beautiful and the fireworks were beautiful. It was mostly just the music. It just wasn't catchy, and it was kind of underwhelming in my opinion. Jack Skellington does come out, and he's up on stage and he's like talking and giving a little story. And that was really cool. Like, I was excited to see that. But this show, if you miss it, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But again, that is just my opinion. So after the fireworks, it was about 10:30. The party ended at midnight, and I really wanted to try to get the rides done. The ride times for these specific rides, they were a little bit longer, but I just was like, I have to get these rides done. Except I really didn't want to do the teacups. That was the only ride I didn't do or felt I really needed to do because there wasn't much different about it. So after the fireworks, I went over to Tomorrowland to do Space Mountain because at the time it showed the lowest wait time. When I got over to Space Mountain, the line was all the way out of Space Mountain, like spilling into that whole area in front. So I got in line. It was posted a 5-minute wait. It was not a 5-minute wait, but it also was pretty quick. So I think because they have to check wristbands, because they never ever stop checking the wristbands. They had to check wristbands. It took a little bit longer to get into the building, but once we were in the building, we walked all the way to the very back. And I didn't even realize this, but because I was by myself and I was a single rider, they let me go over into the lightning lane, and I kind of just zipped all the way around. Once I got over there, I just got right on the ride. So I didn't have to wait at all. It was fun. I actually felt like because it was completely pitch dark black and the music was different, I thought it went faster. It was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. Kind of wanted to do it a second time, but wasn't sure if I was going to have a chance. But yeah, it was a great ride. So after Space Mountain, I went ahead to go get another one of those cold brew coffees at Cheshire Cat Cafe because it was so good and I knew I was going to need a little pick-me-up to get me through the night. So I headed over there to get another one, and I saw Tweedledee and Tweedledum outside of the teacups taking pictures, and then the Mad Hatter and Alice were there as well. After I got the coffee, I decided to head over to the Haunted Mansion. The wait time posted was 45 minutes. I got in line, and it was about a 25-30 minute wait, but because they had the people outside interacting, the butler, and I don't remember her name, but she's dressed in like a white Victorian dress. They were so funny. So one of the girls in our little area, they were like closer to the door to get before you walk in, but you could hear them talking to other guests the whole time we were in line. But one of the girls standing next to me, she was in her 20s. She was a little bit younger, and she was wearing this really cute Mickey Halloween dress with like a Peter Pan collar. And the butler was a little bit older, and he thought she was dressed up as a maid because adults are allowed to dress up at the Halloween party. And so he was like, "We don't need you. We've already hired a maid, and our maid knows exactly what we like. Do not dust while you're in there." And she was so confused. Like, she kept turning around looking to see if he was talking to someone else. And thankfully, the other character kind of stepped in, and she was like, "That's not a maid's dress. That's a beautiful dress." And you could tell he was a little bit embarrassed, but he saved it pretty quickly. And so that was funny. But it was great listening to them interact with everyone. They were asking people questions, and yeah, they were really fun. But that ride itself for Haunted Mansion was actually just the same ride. After Haunted Mansion, I decided to go ahead and go get on Pirates. So I walked around, I took some more pictures, just kind of took in the whole atmosphere. I really wasn't in a hurry. I got over to Pirates. The posted wait was 30 minutes. I probably waited like 20. If you're familiar with Pirates, when you're walking through the line, they have like a fake jail down there, and there was a real guy in the jail kind of yelling at the people in line, like to help him get out. He was pretty funny. And then on the ride, there were only 2 occasions that they had live pirates. One was in the beginning, and then one was when you're coming under the bridge, once you're kind of closer to the end of the ride, and they were pretty funny, talking to the guest in the boat. At this point, it was 11:50. I was getting hungry, but I didn't want anything sweet to have. So I went over to Casey's Corner and got in the doors at 11:58. And the lady came and shut the doors at midnight and closed it up. And it was pretty packed in there. I got some corn dog nuggets and french fries. I grabbed those, took them to a table outside and ate them. It was, midnight at this point. And so if you weren't in a line, you couldn't get in a line for a ride anymore. The last Hocus Pocus Spectacular was finishing. So sitting at Casey's Corner, I could kind of see it. I couldn't fully see it, but I kind of just sat there and watched the end of it. I could hear the music, which is, again, fabulous. So I was watching that. I was watching everyone leave. And yeah, I ate that. And then I went ahead and left the party. So overall, I thought the party was a lot of fun. It was very different than the last two parties that I went to. I'm not really sure if it was because I was by myself or what, or I'm more familiar with Disney now. I did enjoy it. I don't know if it was worth the extra ticket price. I really enjoyed the Hocus Pocus Spectacular, and I really enjoyed the parade. The other things for me were just give or take. The food was fine. It was good, but it wasn't something that I thought was amazing. The ride overlays, they were fine, but again, nothing amazing. I kind of wish they would do more ride overlays and make it a little bit bigger in that sense. The fireworks, I already said, they were okay for me. They weren't great. So yeah, overall I had a great time, but I don't necessarily know if for me it was worth it. So my least magical moment at the party was the crowd. This party was so insanely crowded. And I honestly think that's one of the things that made this party different for me. The other two parties, I feel like they sold less tickets, so there were less people there, which made it more enjoyable. This party was so crowded. The lines for the characters were very, very long. So if you went to go see a character, like if you were with kids and that's something you wanted to do, you probably spent most of your time waiting in line for a character. My most magical moment was seeing the Headless Horseman. That was so great. I was really excited. I hadn't seen it in a very long time. I was really looking forward to it, and it's just kind of a little bit spooky, and it's like almost the spookiest part of the whole night, the way the voiceover comes on Main Street, and it's just really fun. And if you've never seen it, I think you would enjoy it. So thank you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed my trip report from Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party over here at the Wilderness Lodge. Again, visit us on Instagram at Disney Travel Tales. I have a ton of videos. I have tons of pictures that I'm going to be posting from this party. So if you've never been, or if you've been but it's been a while, go ahead and check it out. They're great, and it was a great time. If you're wanting to plan a magical vacation, I would love to help you. Send me an email at jenny@trolleylanetravel.com and let's get this vacation planned for you. I will be back next week with a new guest. So until then, this is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams become a reality.